Hello everyone, it's Bernard, your favorite DokuTuber, hopefully. If not, that's totally fine. Anyhow, it's me. We're back again for more serious talk. This one is not as, if you've seen the other ones in the past, not as serious, not as life-threatening at the moment, so that's good. We want to avoid that, but it is still very serious, very painful, and could potentially become worse. Today, I'm sending my message out to Lee, L-E-Y. She is the person behind ArtisticStudious, and for the, she's become a DokuTuber recently. You can see her in the list. It's the CASVersemods. Done a wonderful job so far, I think. And recently, they've done something that is very tough to do. Healthy, part of a process, and something that many people have to do. I personally have had to deal with similar situations in my life, and they suck. And they can hurt a lot. So, even though this message is, of course, for lay, if you resonate with the same issue, I hope that it helps you out as well. And as you can see in some other videos that I'll link in the description, there is a new hashtag called #HeartsOutForCAS, which is just to show that you care and that you hope that she gets better. For me, the message is a bit more just about trying to help them get past it. And that's what this message is for. Because the situation as I see it, as I've known it, is one that's been ongoing for a long time. And it's something that a lot of people will face in their own lives, which is friends. I think everyone, and you included, as the viewer, know your friends, your friend group, your bestie, everyone that you've spent your time with for years, for months, for days, for decades, in school and work, just in your day-to-day life. You trust them, and you confide in them, and you feel that you can say anything around them, and that you can always count on them to have a good time. But one of the sad truths is that a lot of friends don't last forever. And one of the sadder truths is that the reason that they don't last forever is because maybe they're not the best people in the world. It happens. It's happened to me, and it's recently happened to Lay. I'm not going to give too many specific details, just kind of a grand scope of a problem, because I respect her, right to her own personal situation. But if you resonate with it and you empathize with her situation, please leave the hashtag of HeartsOutForCAS, because she could use the support. I think she could. Anyone could. You could. Because if you had asked me about 2 years ago that the people that I considered my closest friends would betray me and do something that unimaginable, I mean, I would tell you, it's crazy. They would never do that. They would never do something so horrible to me. Yet, they did. And even when you try to reason it out and try to save the friendship, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it gets really bad. And for a lot of people, sometimes they're made out to be the bad guy. Because there's always got to be a reason, a person to blame. And most people don't like to blame themselves or realize that they have a part to play in the ruining of this amazing, what they would have considered amazing friendship. So they'll just blame one person. And that's not right, That doesn't help anyone. It's just a way that those people, your friends, old friends, anyone in any situation can feel better, that they can hide from the fact that they could possibly have done something wrong by saying that you're the person who's morally wrong. And we're not just talking about one situation, we're talking about every situation. If every time you're hanging out with your friends and some sort of drama comes up, and every single time they blame you, that is ridiculous. Unless you are literally come face to face with this exact problem with everyone you've ever met ever, that's impossible. You can't always be the problem. You can't always be the problem. I mean, we all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. But you cannot always be responsible for every bit of drama, even if the drama doesn't involve you. How does that work? I mean, you can't always be responsible for it. And if they want to say that you're responsible because you have certain issues that you're trying to bring up and they don't want to talk about it, or maybe they just feel like it's not something they want to deal with, then the real question is then what's the point of having friends? Friends are people, in my opinion, are someone that you can talk to. A real friend is someone that I can confide in. If you're sitting here today and you're thinking about a friend that you feel like that you actually can't talk to them about something because they'd get mad at you, or because they'd just say that it's all your fault, or they would just ignore you, or groan and moan and complain, they may not be as close as a friend as you once thought. It is a real possibility, and it's something for you at home, person watching, wherever you are, to think about. And for Lei, she already has. She made the call. For months, for years, for so long, she had seen this really awful perspective of what she called one of her best friends' groups turn. And when you see that, you want to ignore it and you want to keep trying to save it, but sometimes you can't. And Lei was very mature about it and was able to successfully do what was best for her mental health, for her ability to have future friends, to be able to keep going, because you couldn't do it forever. She was able to do that. She made that decision. But the thing about it, it's like removing body parts. You know, if something's infected, it's awful, and you know it's awful, but it's part of your body. You don't want to get rid of it. And it leaves a scar, it leaves a void. It's hard to keep going. It's true for all those situations. It's hard to fill the void back up. You know, when you do these things, when you confront who you thought were your friends and their response is to get mad and to yell and to blame you, of all people, for all these problems that cannot possibly all be your fault, it brings you down. It hurts. Because at the end of the day, you start to realize that you just got rid of all these people because they refused to compromise. They refused to listen. They refused to do anything to better themselves. And now you're sitting and you're alone. And you feel like you don't have anyone to confide in because the people you would are no longer there. Because they were part of the problem. And not only that, to add insult to injury, they've made you feel like you're a part of the problem, that you were the problem. Maybe if they keep saying it and yelling it into your face every time they get a chance, maybe it's just maybe true. And that's the situation we're in now. And if you resonate with that, if you feel that you can relate to that, or just realize that that's just really crummy, I'd recommend using the hashtag, because it can help. Because to me it says that, no, of course it's not your fault. You did the right thing. You did what you had to do in a really bad situation. It's not easy. And the repercussions afterwards is why it's not easy, but very rarely is doing the right thing easy. And I would go so far for this situation as to create a new hashtag. I didn't think I was going to do this, but I felt like with knowing what the situation is, that it could prove very valuable to Lei, which would be simply just hashtag friends of Lei. Online or not, if you're seeing this video, like if you're an online friend of hers or an in-person one, I don't know your story. If you've only met her once, or if you just talked to her, if you've just seen her content, if you would consider yourself at least a parting acquaintance or buddy or friend, use the hashtag as a tally of the people who are her friends. I'm going to use it. The idea is that you're not alone. You don't have to deal with this alone. We're humans, and we're not meant to just deal with everything on our own. A person's strength and ability is not only measured by their skill and physical strength, but also measured by their allies. If you're an ally to Lee, if you're a person who can say that you could be there for her, that you can always talk to her, be a friend, just have a good time, or listen to her when, shit hits the fan. I know there are people, I've talked to so many people who I know would consider themselves friends of Lee. If you're one of those people, use the hashtag. If you're a person that I don't know, but you would still consider yourself a friend of Lee, use the hashtag. I implore you to do so. If you don't, I'd still recommend using the hashtag Hearts Out for Lee. But it sends out two distinct messages that I think help the most, which is that one, Hearts Out for Lee basically means to me, to the message to Lee, which would be that it is not your fault. We're here for you. Maybe it says that this is a really crummy situation. This sucks. It's not easy for you, and it wouldn't be easy for anyone else. You made the best of a crappy, shitty, horrible situation, and that's okay. You did what you had to do to just, you tried, and this is the situation we're dealt with, and it's not your fault. You didn't cause everything. You cannot take all of the blame. No one's perfect, but no one's that bad at these situations. I know you. I know you cannot be solely responsible for all of this. I'm confident. And anyone else uses the hashtag is saying the same thing. Anyone who uses the hashtag of Friends of CAS, you're saying that you're not alone. You are not alone. You have friends. You have people who will listen to you, who will talk to you, who will be there for you, who will do whatever they can within reason to be your friend because they care. That's what that hashtag is for, because there are two messages I think are really important. My message is that it's not your fault and you do have friends. You're not alone, and you've done the right thing. I know it's tough. I know that those feelings can make you do things that aren't healthy. Like any of us do things that aren't particularly kind to us. I know that self-loathing is a very easy emotion to feel at this time, because you're faced with the possibility that it could be your fault, that it could be all you, and that's scary. I was. But the fact is that it's not your fault. As I've seen it, as I've been told, as the situation is, I know it cannot just be your fault. In the grand scheme of things, I'm sure in the grand scheme of things, the blame would fall on many people. Very rarely is it all just one person. I know that from experience. It's not just you. You're not just blame. You're not just some horrible person. You did the best you could in a crappy situation. I know this has been going on for at least months of trying to figure out what to do in such a horrible situation, and you finally were able to surpass the main issue, but in its path it's led more. I know that. And I don't think you're to blame. And anyone else uses the hashtag doesn't think you're to blame either. You're a good person at heart, and you have many friends. I'm one of them. I'm proud to be your friend. I'm proud to know you. I think the others who use that hashtag would be proud too. But I think that's all I have to say about it. I hope that this helps you and that you get to feeling better soon.